Godmother show. For some reason, we seem to be having some slight technical difficulties today, so you'll probably just get to hear me and not see me. But I am Shirley Yance, clinical hypnotherapist with a private practice in Southern California, advocate and mental health first responder. Do you wish you could more freely enjoy a healthy habit or just get back to being a better you? Then let's talk. And although I mostly work with the LGBTQIA community. I work with and I help everybody, which is why we do what we do and why I love to do what we do. And if you need any help, I am totally here for you. So you can book online at any time at whisperingsinhypnotherapy.com. Thank you so much for joining the show. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I hope that you can at least hear me today. So before we get going, what I want everybody to do is to get in a nice safe place. And by safe place, I mean you're not doing anything, you're just sitting around. You're just, you're not driving and you're not doing anything crazy. So I want you to take a nice deep breath. Hold it and exhale with a smile. So now the next thing we want to do is make sure that, like I said, you're in this nice safe place and I want you to wiggle your toes. So come on, let's wiggle those toes. Wiggle your toes inside your shoes, outside of your shoes. Don't really care, just make it happen. And the next thing I want you to do is I want you to wiggle your butt. That's right, I said it. I want you to wiggle those buns. Come on. Okay, because you can't do this, wiggling those buns without, making you smile. And I can't do it without making you smile. So that's totally what we need to be doing. So next thing I want you to do is take one more nice deep breath. And exhale with another smile and a small affirmation. Just something like, I got this. We can do this. I know we can. Sometimes you just need to make it through the day or make it through the next 10 minutes, or in some cases, make it through the next hour when you're not actually sure what's happening. So, we got this today. I know we have this today. So, and what I want to talk about today is, I'm sure you can kind of understand this, is that I get asked a lot about mental health, which, why wouldn't I? And I'd like to start different discussions. And today I kind of want to start and talk about being somebody's mental health inspiration. Why you should take every opportunity to smile because, when you're trying to help somebody, you're not helping somebody that's a diagnosis. You're helping somebody that's a person that really means a lot to you. And, while you're trying to help somebody out, has anybody, you ever looked at somebody that's having a really bad day and they're just like, and you look at them and you just go, you have so much to live for. I don't understand why you're so down. Or smile. You should just smile more. And while it might be good advice, and friends and family, you're always trying and helping that person, it it really doesn't help. I hate to break it to you, but it really doesn't help. Especially when that person feels like curling up into a ball and just disappearing. And we all mean well, and there are a million of inspirational quotes out there, and we have heard them all. Make your mental health a priority, or spend time with people who are good for your mental health. Even Glenn Close said, what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, and more unashamed conversation. And they all sound good, but, that's really, again, that's so not what you need. And we know that more than half of people with mental illnesses don't receive help for their disorders. And often people avoid or delay seeking treatment due to concerns about being treated differently or fears of losing your job or your livelihood. And that's because stigma, prejudice, and discrimination against people with mental illnesses are still such a huge, huge problem. And we know that there are some things that we could do, and we've talked about these before, and I'll be going a little more in depth with some of these too. But we need to talk openly about mental health, sharing things on social media, which is doing it for good, which is what we should all be doing. Educate yourself and others. Respond to misconceptions or negative comments. Share facts and experiences, especially high on the sharing facts. Be conscious of language. Remind people, and I'm going to go over this again too, that words matter. All words matter. Encourage equality between physical and mental illnesses. Draw comparisons. How would you treat somebody, or how would people be treated if you found out that they had cancer or diabetes? You wouldn't treat them any differently, but for some reason, we treat people with mental illness totally different. If you want to help inspire somebody, show compassion for those with mental illnesses. Don't just write them off. You can show compassion. Be honest about treatment. Normalizing of mental health treatment, just like any other treatment. It goes back to if you found out somebody had cancer, or you found out that somebody had diabetes, how you would treat them. Choose empowerment over shame. I cannot stress this enough. Empowerment over shame. And even celebrities that talk about their issues with mental health can help, but telling somebody over and over again that this person has it, but you should be okay, isn't going to help. It just really, unfortunately, that's not the way we need to go. And for most people, even knowing and doing some of these things just aren't going to inspire that friend or family member or coworker to get the help that they need. And if you as a person, if you're trying to convince somebody of what they need to do, then maybe there are some things that you need to consider before trying to help inspire someone else, and work on inspiring yourself first. There are things that are more frustrating and upsetting than seeing someone important to you lack in confidence. And we know that this is true. So, from a conscious rethink and life hack, most of us are exactly the same. We refuse to see the spark and potential in ourselves, but we can so clearly see it in those surrounding us that sometimes you just want to shake that person and go, "Come on, you've got this in you." And we get so frustrated that we can't seem to make them understand how wonderful they are. And although we are a bit biased when it comes to our close friends and family, the fact that they don't think they can achieve something doesn't mean that you've got an overly inflated view of their potential. It means that they've got an overly deflated view of it. And we're normally pretty realistic about the abilities of people that we love, but sometimes we're far more realistic than they are. And you need to think about that. You can be a cheerleader, but you have to understand where that other person's coming from. And before you try to convince somebody that they've got what it takes to achieve their goals or their dreams, maybe we need to start looking in the mirror ourselves first. I wouldn't mind betting that you're far harder on yourself than you are on anyone else around you. And you make huge demands of yourself, you neglect yourself, and you beat yourself up when things aren't going just right. Understanding that is an extremely important thing when you start getting your head around it, on why someone else might not believe in themselves. So even when to you their potentially is blindingly obvious, if think about it, how many people around you think that same thing about you? And once you've reflected on that, then you're in a much better place to kind of help somebody else with their dreams or their goals. And here's a few ways that we've talked about before, but I really want to go with this because this has come up, recently. Some ways to encourage our loved one to reach for their stars. So when you have that friend or family member or coworker and you're trying to inspire them, here are some things that are really important that mean a lot to you. It's like, if you don't show that person that you generally care about them, do you think you're going to be able to inspire them? The answer is a resounding no. Show people that you care in your words, like, how are you today? And how is it going? And in your actions, small acts of kindness go a really long, long way. Be enthusiastic. They say that enthusiasm is contagious, and that's a really common cliche, but it's a cliche that's true. Reflect enthusiasm every day to the people that you're in contact with. And I'm willing to wager your genuine smile, positive energy, and care and concern will be returned tenfold. Show them that you're enthusiastic about helping them and you're enthusiastic about what you're doing, and they're going to feel that way too. Earn that person's trust. If a person you know and you love tells you a secret, it has to stay between you and them. Trust takes a long time to build, but can be destroyed overnight and in a second. So don't take part in that workplace gossip or in any unnecessary drama. Don't tell everybody on your social networks, I was told a secret and da da da. Be a positive influence that people aren't afraid to talk to. That, if somebody says, I need to talk to you about this, and it doesn't matter whether it's the littlest of things or the biggest of things. Workplace gossip, you can't just say, okay, I'm only going to tell my partner, I'm only going to tell my best friend or one other person. No, when somebody says confidentiality, that's what they mean. Confidentiality. And believe me, if it's not positive, don't say it. It sounds simple, but words of encouragement are positive things and they cost you absolutely nothing. Most of the things that we do in life, whether in our social lives, our work lives, go unacknowledged. So if your loved one does something good and that friend makes these little positive things, let them know. Think of how good it feels when you're just going through your day and suddenly you get a compliment on something, or somebody recognizes the effort that you've been putting into a project or an assignment, or just little steps forward. It's great motivation and can make you try a little bit harder. So it's probably going to make them try a little bit harder too. And very few of us, we know this, are capable of plowing through on relentlessly with something without any type of encouragement. It is so hard to do because if you're not enthusiastic about it and nobody ever says anything to make you feel better about these things, then why would you want to keep doing it? And it's so easy to criticize people. It really is, but that doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. Think about it. How do you react if somebody insults your intelligence or makes fun of an outfit or criticizes your performance or what you've been working on? Whether the criticism is justified or not, I'll bet you get upset because no one likes to be criticized. So once again, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. We learned this in kindergarten from our parents and our teachers. We need to remember these things as adults. Very much so, because a lot of times we tend to forget things. Build people up. Small little compliments, can brighten somebody's day, irregardless of the dark shadows that may be overhead. Just, you know, hearing those little small compliments, you know, find somebody in your office or in your social group or whatever that looks down or has a frown. Tell them how cute or how handsome they look today. Tell them what a great shirt that they're wearing. You love the color of their hair, whatever, just something really small. And you're going to see that smile take over their face and give them that confidence. And that's another way of helping to inspire somebody to take that next step forward. You need to have these little encouragements if you want to inspire somebody, because think of what it takes for you to get inspired. That's what it takes them to get inspired too. And I know that these little compliments and these little positive things that you say are going to make somebody's day. Absolutely. Another important thing to do is stand your ground. I know this may sound like it doesn't belong, but it really does. And it's easy to let life stress just shake your foundation of inner strength. We're human, we're all human. But if you want to inspire people around you, learn to stand your ground through thick and thin. Stand firm if you want to show people around you that even in the worst circumstances, it can be overcome with positive thinking, continuous improvement, and a never say die attitude. If if you hear something that throws you off, that makes you wonder why somebody's doing these things, or why somebody insulting somebody else, then stand your ground, stand up for that person. It's not easy. I got to tell you, it is not easy to stand your ground against somebody, especially if it's something that you haven't done a lot. You've always kind of just let things slide. And that's fine that you've let things slide, but you got to really stand your ground and do the hard thing, because sometimes the hard things are the things that mean the most to other people. Another good thing, and this is also another one that we're really not good at, is admit your flaws. And although it's important to not fully flinch when life throws you a curveball, it's equally important to acknowledge the fact that, again, we're all human here, and thus we are inherently flawed. Every one of us. Everyone has at least one glaring weakness, maybe two. So accept your shortcomings. It'll humanize yourself so that people can relate to you on a deeper level. Show me a person who claims to be without fault, and I'll show you a liar. Because we all know that person that claims to not have any problems, that claims to have everything just flow like normal. And I have to tell you, doesn't always, they're not. Things come up with every person, the most, even the person that you look at in the highest level, and you think that they must have it all together. There are things that you aren't seeing. And I'm not saying to tell everybody how horrible everything is that's going on in your life right now. Um, so, but just admit that not everything is perfect. Live by example, which kind of has to do with admitting your flaws. We've established by now that you are your own harshest critic. I know I am, so I'm guessing that you are too. And if you want your loved one or coworker or friend to get out of their own way, then you need to do the same in your own life. Monitor your self-criticism and your self-deprecation, and you'll be surprised how much of your time that you spent putting yourself down. And if you're doing that to you, then you can imagine why that person that may have big issues and may have that mental health issues or physical issues or whatever, why they put themselves down sometimes. You know, you have your own dreams. I know you do. Do you ever prioritize yourself and your needs? It might be that, that person that means the most to you or that you're trying to help and inspire, what they lack is a role model whose example they can live by. Not saying that you have to be perfect, because we don't assume that anybody's perfect, but perhaps seeing someone that's close to them believing in themselves and taking these positive steps forward could be the thing that inspires them to take that little step forward. And going forward is what we're all aiming for. Sometimes you got to go sideways. I can understand that too. But for the most part, we're looking for people that we can look up to. And if you're trying to inspire that person, and you're trying to inspire anybody actually, then, you know, the most important thing is to, totally live by example. And we're not limited to just words, or face to face. Sometimes sending a card congratulating somebody on something they've done, on these little steps forward, or maybe on a project that they've just finished that how hard they worked on it. Give somebody a call. We can all do that. Even send a text message. Just something small. Buy them a cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be huge. From the small, just text messaging them and going, congratulations, I'm so proud of what you did. Everything's going to be great. To taking them out for dinner. Anything can be inspiring. Absolutely anything. You know, Writing something down or picking up the phone, especially to just let them know that they're doing well, makes it somehow seem a little more significant than just a few throwaway words. Although, as we talked about, words are important. So if you don't have time to do something huge, that's okay. Just like I said, a little text message, a little face to face, a postcard, or a little cute card that says, keep going. You're doing great. But don't overdo it. You don't want to come off as being patronizing, but small gestures can really be helpful and constructive. Sometimes if you really overdo it and make a big deal out of little things, it does come across as being a little patronizing. So we definitely don't want to do that. And we've talked about this before, but I cannot repeat it enough. Be an active listener. Anyone can hear the words. Anyone can hear, but not many people can actively listen and comprehend those words to fully understand the meanings behind them. When you're talking to somebody, make eye contact. If somebody wants to talk to you about their problems or their issues, ask little follow-up questions to show them that you care and that, you understand at least a little bit what they're going through. A lot of times you can't fully understand what somebody's going through, but you can show empathy. You can, tell them that you want to understand where they're coming from and you do what you can. But you actually have to listen to what they're saying. And sometimes even words aren't necessary. Never mind the flashy gestures, just your undivided attention can be enough to really encourage someone and give them the drive that they need to work and start to move forward. Remember, it's okay to move a little sideways, but what you're really doing is you want to help that person and help yourself move forward. Listen to them with interest. And for God's sake, please put away your phone. If someone keeps checking their phone or glancing over their shoulder to check the time, and their body language in general communicates that they don't really want to be there, a person's not likely to feel that what they're saying has much value. Would you? Don't think so, because we've all talked to people and we notice that they keep checking their watch or looking at a clock behind them or checking their text messages, and every time they feel or hear a ding or feel a vibration, they pull out that phone. That's not what that person needs. That message, I'm guessing it's not an emergency. And if it is, let them know ahead of time that you may have an emergency message come in that you need to take, but acknowledge that ahead of time. Don't just make it look like you don't care and that you're not paying attention. You can ask questions here and there. And that'll show them that you are actually engaged, and you can offer your opinion, but only if it's asked for. The key here is that you should keep your mouth shut as much as possible. A lot of times when you're telling somebody information that they weren't expecting or that they weren't ready for, they need time to process. A lot of times when, clients are telling me what's going on and everything, although I may want to rush in and tell them, this is what I think you should do, and this is what we need to do. It doesn't work very well because that's not what they're asking for. They're just asking you to be there. And sometimes you can make a few encouraging little noises, the mm-hms and mm-ms, and, reactions thrown here and there are great. But again, let them talk. That's what you're there to be their sounding board. Sometimes people just need to get everything off of their chest. And it doesn't matter whether it's a mental health issue, whether it's a medical issue, whether it's just something that's driving them crazy. And if they don't get it out, they're going to lose their mind. Just, you know, be there. Be there for them. And that's what they need. And it's a great way for them to develop, sometimes you need to talk things through. So you kind of develop ideas and develop your motivations. Sometimes by the time that person or even you have talked it out, you've already made up your mind. You've already talked about, you've already worked out the solution to the problem. There are times that I've just let people talk, and by the time they're done talking and we get to the rest of the session, they've pretty much already figured out what they need to do. And my job is to be a listener and a sounding board. And it won't just be that person that understands and gets that result. Proper listening will also help you understand maybe what their dreams actually are, what their goals are, you know, and that means that you're able to better inspire and motivate that person. And that right there is a win-win all the way around. Now, this isn't going to work for everybody, so don't write this one down and use it for everyone because it kind of depends on the person that you're talking with or that's talking with you. But, sometimes some people really like to be challenged, and some people can't resist being challenged. And this can work really well for somebody, but challenge them to do their best or the best that they can. Challenge them to live up to their potential a little bit. You could even give them a specific concrete challenge, like getting a specific task done by the end of the week. And if you want to help them make more tangible progress, again, this doesn't help for everybody, but if you go by the end of the week, write down 5 things you want to do, or write down how you've been feeling all week. You know, when we have an idea or a dream, it's far too easy to put off even getting it started and taking the next step when there's nothing really driving us to make that next step. And this has to do with the person you're inspiring as well as yourself. That means that we can get so bogged down and end up procrastinating by spending hours and hours deliberating over even the smallest decisions. It's actually just a way of avoiding tackling the big things. So you need to encourage people to make little decisions and make them quick. Sometimes if you think about something for too long, then you've both sort of lost track of what you're actually trying to inspire somebody to do. And remind them, you can always come back and tweak an idea later on. But, you know, sometimes people need to be challenged just a little bit, and action is vital. So if you're going to, just start by building up a little momentum, and then you'll be able to get one step closer to getting something done. And if somebody that you're trying to inspire has a little independent project or something specific that they need to get done and that they want to achieve, you could offer to be that person to hold them accountable and make sure that they actually reach that goal or get to that next step. Some people, like I said, some people are great with being challenged and they love being challenged. And other people, not so much. So, um, you know, and we all know these people, and I'm kind of one of them too, that if you only have yourself to answer, then it might not be enough motivation to get things done. But if you have to explain to somebody why you haven't gotten to that particular thing that they've already committed to, and that maybe you've already committed them to, they might be more motivated into actually getting it done. Because once they make the decision or take that next step, make sure, we're going to go back to the other part that we were just talking about. Make sure that you congratulate them and let them know how well they're doing. Words, attention, little gestures that we mentioned above. You know, um, I know some people that will spend days just trying to make one little decision. I was asked earlier today to make a decision, and it was about 4 hours ago, and I still haven't made that decision. So, like I said, it happens to all of us. I'm close to that decision, but again, close isn't quite going to cut it. And the more you overthink it, then the harder it is to make that decision. So, if you're trying to inspire somebody, then you want to give them these little challenges. And sometimes you can check in with them at the end of the day to see how they're doing. Sometimes, you know, you can wait a whole week to find out. You can go, okay, by next Monday, this is what I need you to do. Or by Monday, this is what, for the sake of you, this is what you need to do. And make it so they're doing it for themselves. They're not doing it for you. They're not making that next little step for somebody else. They're making these little steps for you. So, and once they've accomplished that, give them that, you know, that's great. I love what you're doing. I love that, now that you've made this step, now here's the next step. Sometimes it helps to even have a list of the steps that you need. I know that sounds a little strange, but I'm a list person. So if I have a big project or I have something coming up, I need to make a list of what's going on and by what day I need to have this done, and by this time I need to have this done. And, to have somebody that holds me accountable, that holds me up, look in the mirror. Um, that's the easiest way for somebody to know that they're making progress. And that's a great way to inspire somebody. Don't nag. Don't be on them constantly. Don't be texting them every 20 minutes or every hour going, so have you got it done? So have you got it done? If this person that I needed to make a decision with, or that we were making a decision, if they were constantly texting me or constantly calling me or whatever and going, so have you done it now? That just makes you a little more crazy, and you're less likely to make the decision that's the right decision. So be supportive. You're trying to inspire somebody, and like I said, whether it's a family member, whether it's a really good friend, maybe even a coworker. If you've got a project coming up, and that this person tends to put things off, have them make a list, and they get whether it's a little gold star or a attaboy or a attagirl or whatever. Just make sure that you keep encouraging them and inspiring them. And it has to do with that listening too. When you're trying to inspire somebody, you know and they finally ask you, they finally go, okay, so what do you think? Have helpful hints. Helpful hints. There's a big difference between telling somebody what they should do and a helpful hint as to how they should do it. Um, I have seen it happen, and I do my best not to make somebody be fully accountable to me. Sometimes you do need to be a little more accountable to yourself. Um, Challenge yourself. And whether you're trying to inspire somebody or whether, you're just trying to inspire yourself. Sometimes the hardest people that we try to inspire is ourselves to do things. We know that we're the hardest person, the absolute hardest people on ourselves. So before maybe you take on the responsibility of trying to help somebody else out, think about what you need to do to help you. Believing in yourself and leading by example totally lays the foundation for inspiring others. Like they say, charity begins at home. You've got to got to get your own act together. You can turn your attention towards your loved one or your friend or your family member, and you can listen to them and you can give them the encouragement that they need in whatever way they need it. And you probably know that person well enough to know what it is that they need. And you're going to watch them flower before your very eyes, and you're going to see that them have, you know, that little extra pep in their step, that little extra smile. And just knowing that if you're trying to help yourself or trying to help someone else, all of these little things can be used. All of the acknowledgments and all of the listening. And, we know that it's so easy and anyone can be vulnerable to mental health disorders and issues. But hope isn't lost. We know these things, that participants in different surveys have noticed that they're a little more comfortable about talking about their mental health, with that relative or that special friend, even their primary healthcare provider. Some people have great, primary healthcare providers. I am always there to help, and I'm always there to listen and to talk to people. I'm not a primary health provider, and I tend to do things a little more holistically, being a, hypnotherapist. But, you know, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, anxiety and depression doesn't have to last forever. And it can be, and it's important that if you think that you need a little more help than just a great friend to talk to, or if you need just a little more, some people do need certain medications to help even out their brain. And a lot of the time, that can be a temporary thing too, just to get it kind of situated. But if you or a loved one needs help with any type of disorder or substance abuse, and a lot of times that comes from mental health because we start self medicating. And if you see somebody start to self medicating, because they do have some sort of issue with mental health or other conditions, there's help out there. A lot of times our friends mean well, but there just isn't the help out there that we wish we had all the time. And if it really starts to get bad and you just don't think you can hang on too much longer and you feel yourself really starting to slide, please contact somebody. You know that you are worthy. You're worthy of the gift of life. People love you out there, and they would miss you. So if you feel yourself starting to slide, contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There are people there 24/7, 24/7, 7 days a week. And they're there to just listen and get you through. If you can't contact or you can't find somebody that's in your little circle that can help you, sometimes talking to a stranger is actually easier than talking to somebody that you know. I have, clients that I've texted with, that I've talked on the phone with, because they know that I'm not going to be offended by whatever they're going to say. If they're having a problem with a family member, if they're having a problem at work, if they're having a problem with anything, sometimes you need to have that third person or that outside person that you can say everything to. And it's not that your friends can't, but again, sometimes, especially if you're dealing with something, and a lot of times, let's say that you're that friend or that family member and you know what's going on with that person that you're trying to inspire. Sometimes the best thing that you can tell them is maybe I'm not the person that you should talk to. It's not that you're giving up on them. It's not that you don't want to be there for them, but just going, I think you may need more help than I can give you. And I'll be there for you when I can. And I'll be there for you as much as I can. But, you know, here are some other things and some other people that I think might be really good for you to talk to. So if you do need that extra little if you feel like you're sliding, the National Suicide Prevention Line is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. And if you don't feel like you still need somebody to talk to, there are other places online. You just have to look up free counseling. You look up 24/7. I've worked with the Trevor Project. They also have somebody that's there, and you don't even have to be LGBTQIA plus. Just anybody can call them, and they're there. They also have trained counselors that you can just get out everything you need to. And if you're somebody that's trying to inspire somebody or trying to help them through something, and you don't think, and you think maybe you need some help, that's fine. That is perfectly acceptable. Don't put somebody else in front of you. It doesn't mean that you're not there for that wonderful friend or family member. It just means that sometimes you may need that help as much as they do. As you're being an active listener to them, maybe you need somebody to be that active listener for you. And that's what these hotlines are for. And that's what getting counseling is for. It's, you have nothing to be ashamed of if you need to talk to somebody. You have nothing to be ashamed of if you need help. That's kind of back to, admitting your flaws. Maybe you're not the right person, but be honest with that friend or that family member, that coworker that comes to you. If you have to say something like, I don't think I'm the right person, or as much as I love you, and I care about you, I'm also getting help. You could actually hold each other accountable for little decisions. That might work out great. Everybody's different. Everybody's unique. You know, um, Little things, just the little things sometimes mean more than anything else. Um, and one of the things that I keep going over at the end of my shows that I love to go over is, you know, doing for you. Like I've said, if you're in an airplane and the oxygen masks come down, they always tell you to put on your mask first before you can help anybody else. So, whether you're trying to be inspired or you're trying to inspire somebody, definitely, do some things for you. Our self-compassion pause. I went over it, a couple weeks ago, and I'm telling you, this works just as well for adults as it does for kids, sometimes even better for kids, because, we all need to love ourselves and know how special and wonderful that you are. And if you're working with, your kids or your friends or whatever, make sure that they know how wonderful and special that they are. So we're going to start by just taking a moment to do this self compassion pause. So just take a couple nice deep breaths and take a minute to pause and think and focus on your awareness that being mindful can help. And what being mindful means is putting yourself in the moment, not thinking of the past and not concentrating on the future, but just being there with yourself and listening to your breathing. And then you can move your hand to your chest and give yourself a hug. Some people aren't huggers, I know that, and some people would rather be, touched by somebody else, or some people would rather not be touched at all. But I think it's important that you actually make physical contact with yourself in some way, even if you're just holding your arms or you have your hands on your legs, one hand on your chest so that you can feel your heartbeat. It's so important. And the most important step is acknowledging that, you know, things aren't always supposed to be perfect. Sometimes we can all have bad days. This step is both a place to practice that mindfulness, so that's not thinking what happened or what's going to happen, but it encourages you to be mindful, which is being right there in the moment, acknowledging it is real, and sometimes things are hurtful, but giving yourself permission to feel it. These are little exercises that you can do. I do this every day. Seriously, I do these couple things every single day. I also do a full body scan, which we may talk about next week, what it's like to do a full body scan, because sometimes you may need more than just the little couple minute things, like the 3-minute breathing space. I do this probably 3, 4 times a day. And, unlike trying to do big meditations, it's quick and it's easy and it's useful for getting, maybe your mindfulness practice started, instead of, having to telling yourself, okay, I need to sit here and meditate and not think for the, exactly, that's the hard part, not think for the next 10 or 15 minutes. No, this is 3. We start small. You start everything small. You don't go out and run a 5K on your first day. You start slow. So, and know that things are going to pop up. You're going to have thoughts that pop up. But, and keeping a clear mind and keeping your mind quiet, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. And sometimes it's a process. But with the 3-minute breathing space, it's perfect for people that have busy lives and busy minds, and you're always running and working and running and working. So, and I've done these things at work. I've done these things in my car. Yes, you can actually do these in the car. I wouldn't do it while you're driving real fast. I kind of do this, think about this with the safe place. Yesterday, I was stuck in traffic, and I started to get really agitated, as people do when they're stuck in traffic. And I did this. And I never closed my eyes, because you don't ever want to close your eyes while you're driving or you're stuck on the freeway. But the first question I asked myself, and the first question that you ask, is, how am I doing right now? How am I doing right now? And I was really stressing out. And I was focusing on the feelings and the thoughts and sensations, and trying to give these words and thoughts, these feelings, words and thoughts. Things like, I was starting to get anxious, and so I could feel my heart beating faster. So I was keeping track of just trying to slow my breathing down. Um, because I was asking myself, how am I doing right now? And the answer was, I am not doing well, which is fine. Like I said, the whole idea is you're going to have thoughts come in and out. Just let them go. So the second minute is spent on keeping awareness of your breathing. So I was starting to get very anxious and a little uptight. And I just spent a minute being aware of my breathing and being focused on slowing my heart rate down, slowing my breathing down. And you know that when you slow your heart and you slow your breathing down, that slows down, your blood pressure goes down, and it really does help. And for that last minute, use it as a little more of an expansion of the attention. Feeling which ways your breathing is going. Is it going down? And when it goes down, how is it affecting the rest of your body? Because I realized that once I paid attention to my breathing and I made that a focus, then that was great for me because I could tell that my shoulders were going down, and that was a physical effect. I could tell, that things were actually going to get better. They weren't going to be perfect, but things were going to get better, and I was going to make it through this. And, trying to keep my mind quiet was really challenging, but I didn't block them out. I just let these little thoughts come into my mind and disappear because I couldn't linger too long. And you never want to linger too long because the intention, like I said, is not to repress your feelings, it's to experience those feelings. But you're human. Yes, we went back to that. You are human. And, you have to feel those things, but let them go and don't get back into that feedback loop that goes back to negative thinking. The whole idea is to just feel them, experience them, and let them go. This is so important for anybody that has a high stress job, or even if you're dealing with bereavement, or I've had clients lately that have been dealing with survivor guilt. Um, you've been spending a lot of time alone. Maybe you're in self quarantine, or you've spent the whole time in quarantine by yourself. You've got to take care of yourself, both mentally and physically. And these will help you out, and you will learn a way to smile when maybe smiling's not so easy, but you can do this. So I put these things out to you to help you get through the day. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes you just need to get through the next 10 minutes or the next hour. And I use these breathing exercises and I focus internally. And I always ask myself, am I starting to slide or am I back on track? So, there are people out there to help. And whether it's a friend or a family member, whether it's a coworker that you really trust, or an outside influence like a hypnotherapist like me, um, or if you really trust your doctor, don't ever give up looking for that person that's going to be the key that you need. And if you're trying to inspire somebody, be honest with yourself before you try to help somebody else. I encourage you to take breaks when you can. Go out for walks. Those always work great. Get a little fresh air. Today we've got a lot of rain, so that's probably not going to happen, but on most days I do. Know that although today's show was audio and not audio and visual, I always repost everything on my YouTube and my Facebook pages. So you can re-listen to anything if you need to, and you can always contact me. So take note of your mental state at all times and be mindful of those around you. Please. So thank you for listening today. It's been my pleasure to even be a small part of your journey. And I hope that it's been calming and a little soothing for you. And mostly, I hope that wherever you are, you're leaving more of who you really want to be. I'm Shirley Yance, clinical hypnotherapist, activist, and mental health first responder at Whispering Zen Hypnotherapy and Wellness. I work together with my clients and maybe you as a team to find the best way to get you back to feeling a little more like you. And I work online, so I can be wherever you need me to be and help you wherever you are. And I know that hypnotherapy isn't for everybody. It's okay. So let's see if maybe we can work together. So I'm Shirley Yance, clinical hypnotherapist, and you can book a consultation with me today or any day at whisperingzenhypnotherapy.com. It has been my sincere and real pleasure to help you out today. So remember this one last time, we're going to take a nice deep breath, hold it in, and exhale with a smile. So thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends all about the show, and I promise I will see you, and hopefully you'll see me next week. Have a great day.